Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? Happy Monday. It's Marcus Levy, the Angry Ranter, here for vlog 130 in the Angry Ranter Vlog Series. I figured now, more than ever, is probably the best time to crack open a fresh vlog, because we're just leaving Lincoln Field Station and popping towards the bike tracks. Puzzle. You guys have, seen this particular walkway before, just maybe not had a name to it. But post overnight on a Monday, here we are, Monday morning, doing this. Camera will very much be able to help me know if there's any of these dinkle dorks coming up behind me on the fucking bike. So it did just rain, but just in case, jacket's in the bag. So let's see. On the way to the college to meet up with a friend who has never had, class on campus before. So after 4 years at Algonquin, I'm pretty sure I know my way around. So I said it'd be kind of perfect to meet up there. I can show her around certain rooms. She needs to get ID and stuff, like her campus card picture taken and all that stuff. I know where all that shit is. So easy peasy, good time to squeeze in a hangout. Also, breakfast is real cheap at the college. I appreciate that. It's like a $6 breakfast and you get pretty large helping of food plus a coffee. And I know how much I could use one of those. Now, talking about an update based on a previous vlog from more than a week ago. Go back to, I think it was 123, overdose of lactose, right? Where I totally thought that what was going on was some lactose intolerance issue. I'm not quite sure as of yet what said issue is, but I know one thing that's been helping. I went and bought Gas-X, and I've been taking that as per the instructions, and I'm kind of dosing myself, if you will. So the max dose is 4 within any 24-hour period. So I took yesterday and the day before, I did the 4, and today I'm doing 3. I'm dropping myself down 1 and trying, so I've already taken 2 today. So I'm trying to wait until I get to the college and have the breakfast before I take the 3rd one. Because the gas is moving. At least I can feel it is. It started off down here, then it moved to the other side, now it's up here. So it might be finally going away eventually. But then again, I've also realized one of the things you need the most is rest. Rest is always the most important, and of course, it's the thing I'm the worst at. Always have been. Got a sneeze coming, hold on. Ow. From the time I was a kid, I was always a lark, early riser. And then at 12 years old, joined cadets, and so in my entire teenage years, I always like to say all my friends got a chance to sleep in during the summer, and I spent every day getting up at 5 to 6 because military time. And going to bed real late. So my teenage years, I didn't get to really spend a whole lot of time sleeping. I've essentially been running on fumes since day 1. You find the odd day here and there to be able to catch up on sleep, and I know I've got a few days coming up this week where I get the opportunity to do that, which I think is fantastic. But realistically, and more importantly, I've always been somebody, you didn't really have to see that, but some things, impulse. I'm very particular to breathing, so yeah, might be a little gross, but move past it. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So in essence, I have almost always been running on tired, but I'm almost always in a good mood. I remember this one time when I was in college, after having a night where I got literally 1 hour of sleep, and we had to do this massive fundraising event, and I came to it and I was more awake and more cheery than everybody else, bearing in mind, right after, collapsed, dead to the world kind of thing. There's a hell of a lot of traffic around these parts, but also because it's rush hour on a Monday morning, what else can I come to expect in this moment? But you know, you wonder if these people are on their way to work dressed like that. But either way, you know, maybe it's just because I work I work kind of in a as a social service worker, or work in a field where casual and comfortable is the code of conduct. It's kind of hard for a lot of people who are raised in a businessy style environment to really wrap their head around like the way in which social workers work and operate, right? Because even when you go up the ladder, you know, myself, my boss, my boss's boss, my boss's boss's boss, our executive director, they all don't wear suits. There's no suit and tie dealio going on. And the way I've always said it is, if I had to chase after somebody, right? Because again, social work, right? So if there's ever an incident or something where crisis is happening, right? Let's say medical emergency, right? Which is easier for me to deal with it? Suit and tie, real tight, can't really bend down. No way that unless I like half undress will I be in any way, shape, or form comfortable enough to deal with this situation. Or t-shirt and shorts with a flat cap. You tell me. You tell me. Whether or not I'm 248.5 pounds and still can't bend over properly, that is not part of the question. That's a self-deprecating joke, and yes, I can bend over. It's totally fine. But I'm just saying. I'm saying clothing-wise, comfort works better, but I also like this. It's totally me. Shannon was like, it's the most you shirt ever. I'm like, you're probably right. Thanks, Value Village. Another thing I was going to talk about was how tomorrow, new episode of the Angry Ranter Show coming out tomorrow. Episode 28, Social Justice Warriors versus SJWs. And it's kind of perfect that I'm going to talk about that particular issue. Always seems, whether it's, you know, my brain looking for a pattern or something, but it always seems right as I'm coming up to a particular topic on the podcast that I start seeing it everywhere in my day-to-day life. And in a sense, I appreciate that, because then it reminds me constantly that that's what's going on. And the reason that I want to talk about it, and it's just a me episode this week, there's no guest, until next week when I'm going to have Andrew on, and we're going to talk about, we're going to do Busing Troubles Part 2, where we're going to talk more or less about busing etiquette. But I'll discuss some of that stuff next week. But for right now, focusing on this particular topic. So, we live in an increasingly, I'm just trying to make sure that it's not a snake, there's a stick. But we live in an increasingly polarizing time, right? Everybody knows that. But we also live in a time where, Raven, I don't know if you can see it. No? Gone. Damn. Oh, there it is. Cast over the trees. It's kind of like in that first episode of Pokemon where Ash sees Ho-Oh. I can see it, and then you turn the camera around and it's like in the distance, you know. But I'm digressing because I'm tired. We live in a tense political climate these days, right? It's extremely polarizing. And I know that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about in tomorrow's episode. And the big piece that I'm going to talk about, of course, is the difference between someone who's actually out advocating for a real cause and these fucking keyboard warriors that I know we've all seen. If you've got Facebook, if you've got Twitter, if you've got Instagram, and then somebody posts something a little political, a little polarizing. We all know who I'm talking about. Honestly, they're like the bane of every social worker's existence. Because it's these woke people who are only informed on their own terms about any one issue. And of course, I'm going to mention a lot of that stuff in tomorrow's episode. But we live in a trying time where it's hard to stay in the middle. That's why I declare myself a center-left, with the biggest piece being green, as it's all around me, right? So obviously that ends up in October. That's where my vote for our federal election is going. And I feel the Greens have the best shot ever to start showing the country what they can do this year. I have a feeling they'll be placing third out of all of our political parties this year. And I'm just going to put a small prediction in here. And, we'll see if this comes true. Liberal minority government with the Conservatives not far behind them. Because there's enough people who are like in love with Andrew Scheer. First off, holy shit. Look at this tree. These trees that have been fallen have fell due to the weather. But there's enough people in love with Andrew Scheer. And our world is on a little bit of a conservative turn when we really need liberalism right now to help move us forward and advance certain disadvantaged people. The world is clutching ever tighter to its values. I put that in air quotes for a reason. Check out the vlog on fluid ethics that I posted. I think it's vlog 120. Check that out and you'll get what I mean. But it's really hard these days to stay in the middle. I don't want to be apolitical. When I choose to be a social service worker, I choose to say I'm never going to have a political stance. Excuse me. But what's going to happen, and of course, what's the hardest piece for me is sticking to these green values when I know that it's gonna take a long time before I see any of this, but my record is gonna hold steady. I have people telling me it's a wasted vote. Why the fuck are you voting for them? Because they're the party that aligns with my values. I don't believe in this strategic voting bullshit that most people in Canada seem to. Most people in Canada will go, well, right now we don't like the Liberals. I'm not a conservative by heart, but fuck it, that's all that we have in this country. No, we have other parties that are considered main parties. I have a number of people who are like, oh, I'd vote Green, but they're never going to win. You know why? Because of that attitude. They will never win if you never vote. I also have an old adage, and this is something that no one has ever debated me on. If you don't vote, you have no right to complain. This isn't America. We don't have an electoral college. In this country, your vote matters. In the US, one vote doesn't fucking matter because a group of fancy rich white dudes are still going to decide who runs your country anyway. The electoral college system made complete sense when it was put in the 1780s. because the average person had no idea about politics. Also, Washington was unanimously chosen to be president. And then again in 1790, in the election of 1792, he was again chosen unanimously to be president again. So I mean, it was a different system back then. And back then, of course, most presidents nominated their successors, and most people just agreed with it. Because again, the average person had no understanding of politics. But nowadays, every kid who comes out of high school at least was forced to take a class on it, if not chose to take increasing number of classes on it and information and stuff like that. We live in a very polarizing time, as I will repeat, and it's becoming harder and harder to stay in the middle, with both sides telling me that I'm essentially an enemy to them for not picking either side. But no, I refuse. I'm still going to be center left, because environmentalism is my focus when it comes to politics. I don't live a life where being an environmental activist is possible, but I would if I could, trust me. So, but once I want to use the phrase fully in control of my life, live on my own, do all this other stuff, you'd be damned if you wouldn't find me being as green as the next person who supports all that. Again, they may have conservative fiscal policies, the Green Party, but environmentalism is not a conservative issue. Just look at how Andrew Scheer's bumbling his way through having an actual climate change plan. Proof is in the fucking pudding. So, either way, happy Monday, folks. This is a good start to the week as we're heading into late August this week. And we are less than 2 weeks, little over 2 weeks away, about 16 days away from a fresh start of a new school year. And we're only about 12 or 13 days away from the start of the 2019-2020 year. I'm hoping big things for me. So guys, don't hesitate to check out all that social media stuff down in the comments. The Twitter, the Instagram. I know in yesterday's vlog I said I'm not going to be posting on Instagram until September. Doesn't mean don't go check it out anyway. Go pop over there, check it out. I do post on Twitter like all the time, so pop on over there. It's my new Facebook kind of thing. If you want to stay connected there, that'd be awesome. But also, comment below. What's your plan for the week? Going to my grandparents tomorrow. Looking forward to it. But guys, I'll see you in 1:31 tomorrow.